Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You can't go on, man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but minds keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I came in here today and Stugotz had a $2 bill in his hand and was very feverishly Googling, how do I know what my $2 bill is worth? To which I responded, $2.
Nope.
But somebody evidently tweeted him that if you have a certain $2 bill, it's worth $45,000 or something. And so now he's playing lotto with his wallet and his cash where he feels like he's just opening lotto tickets. And he's asking me questions like, how do you know what year your $2 bill was made? And I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, yesterday you had a $2 bill. You put it in the fine bucket. I suggest someone get that $2 bill because it could be worth up to $45,000 based on the year, the serial number, the color of the serial number. And so I am right now checking out my $2 bill to see how much it's worth.
Where are
it's
you guys
not
getting $2 bills from? Like, why do you both have $2 bills this week?
Clemson away games.
I was given change for something, and I was surprised to see that these were still wandering around in currency. I'm surprised that anybody has cash of any sort. Samson, you could catch him on Nothing Personal. If you want something before we start our day, he is live every morning with Nothing Personal at 8 a.m. Do you know anything about $2 bills? Oh, look, David Sampson also has a $2 bill.
Not mint condition, though. I mean...
No, I do have some in mint condition, but the one I carry is just my lucky $2 bill, but there's no way this is worth $45K. I actually suggest this may be worth $1.20.
Huh.
Why is it your lucky $2 bill?
Because it was given to me at a moment when something good had happened, so I carry it with me in my money clip at all times.
Has it proven to indeed be lucky?
It's hard to tell.
What's the good thing that happened? The stadium?
No, it's not that old. No, this is more recent.
Right.
This is a far more recent, although this $2 bill looks very worn to me. When you say mint condition, it can have no wrinkles of any kind?
It's not supposed to. It's really based more on the year that the bill was issued in terms of the value.
It's not a baseball card.
Right.
I think it can be a little crinkly.
They prefer it in mint condition. I'm on uscurrency.com, okay?
We will get to David Sampson in a second. Can you help me, though, Chris Cody, with something? And perhaps you can help Jessica and Lucy with this, because there are some complaints I've gotten since yesterday that your father very casually mentioned what his strike three call was when he was the umpire and you were kids. And we glossed over it yesterday because it's been subject matter that we have covered before around here. But Jessica and Lucy and some others might be new to the proceedings. So do you want to explain to them your father's strikeout call when he was an umpire?
Back in the day, me and my dad would go out front, and I'd throw pitches. He'd catch it. Great dad, my dad is and was. So he would be strike one, strike two, and on strike three, he would go, hee-haw, three.
It's the correct response, Lucy.
Is and was?
That's great.
Yes, in the middle of the street, and Chris hated it as a child.
He did. Now I love it, but yeah, at the time it was embarrassing.
At the time, it was not.
I think he used to throw in a ba-dip, hee-haw, three, ba-dip. I don't know what. That's just what I remember.
I just remember you being you were outraged by it because you didn't want to be striking out to begin with, but then to hear your father's echoing weirdness down your street is no fun.
Embarrassing.
So there's like 8-year-olds going to their t-ball game and they see your dad and they're like, oh God, this asshole's umpiring again.
They think that is the strikeout call of other umpires, not just him. They learned baseball through that umpire and think that that's how the third strike is called. Samson, did you ever have any issues with a look at me umpire that wasn't related to judgment, that was related to ego?
Joe West is the number one.
Cowboy.
It was always about Joe West. When you had him, Angel Hernandez, you just know, or CB Buckner, you know you're not going to get a good, well umpired game, and you're going to get screwed. But you assume that both teams will get screwed equally. Joe West was the kind of umpire where you just knew. You sat there and just watched him, watched his antics, and we would tell our players beforehand. We would put a list on the board of who the umpires were for that series, and we would tell the players which umpires just don't deal with. And Joe West was one of them. Don't give him a platform. Hey, it turns out my $2 bill, and this is a true coincidence. So, Stugotz, it's from 2003.
Ooh, that's a good year, I think.
So is that a winner? It certainly is a winner for the Marlins and fans and me, but is that the winner for the $2?
2003, it looks like those.
One sold for $2,400.
Yeah, one sold for $2,400, David. I'm serious.
Not in that condition, though.
Yeah.
That one's a little.
Yeah.
To be a grade 10.
Yeah.
Why are you raising your hand, Samson?
No, I'm just trying to see. I was thinking about after the show because it's so early right now. I have plenty of time. I was going to try to iron it or try to flatten it or try to restore it.
Yeah.
Because if this is worth $2,500, it is certainly worth $1,000 of effort of restoration.
Do you imagine that there are people in our audience that don't know that there is such a thing as a $2 bill? There right? If you're not dealing with cash at all, I'm guessing that there are many people in our audience that don't know that there is even a $2 bill or have never seen a $2 bill. I think that, Samson, you're looking at me as if I'm strange, but I remember at the time being a $2 bill.
I was shocked when I got it. Yes.
Weird when the first time I saw one. So I got to imagine that there are people in our audience who don't carry cash at all and just don't think there's such a thing as a $2 bill. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Are you aware that there is a $2 bill?
Aren't you curious now, though? Because you gave one away yesterday that might be worth $4,500. I mean, you want me to get it?
I said $45,000.
I mean, it could go up to $45,000 if you have a rare one, an old one. But yours is sold for $4,500. Billy,
he made a mistake.
I'm on USCurrencyAuctions.com. I mean, check it out.
That is the move, to tell you to check it out.
I'm there. I got charts. I got graphs.
The show moves on. It is a great move. I can't dispute it. Can you help me, Samson, with the general manager meetings that are going on right now? The Marlins have a new president. David Samson told us at the time that Kim Ng was a eyewash hire, is what he called it, because he said they weren't going to actually give her power, and she has since left the Marlins, at least in part because it would seem that she didn't get the kind of power that she wanted to actually have jurisdiction over the organization. What do you make of the Marlins' new management team?
He is very well thought of in the industry. He is a young hotshot. He is extremely analytically based. He worked for a team that we always wanted to emulate. And Bruce Sherman just came out and said, we want to be like the Rays. We want to win at a low payroll because that's the best way to do it, and that's by necessity. He's never been a number one, so there's always adjustment. There's always a question, will he be able to manage people, which is a big part of running a baseball organization? But there's no doubt of his baseball acumen. The question is, will it translate as the president of baseball operations? And the other question is, what was promised to him in terms of dollars spent off the field? I'm not as focused at all on the payroll, the major league payroll. I'm focused on the infrastructure, because what Jeter did was spend money on moving the home run sculpture and on building academies in the Dominican. The question is, and on changing things that were just a waste. I'm wondering whether or not Sherman will invest money, and I suspect he will, in infrastructure on the baseball operations side, and that is critical for Peter because that's what he's good at.
You say that it's important to be good with people. Do you think that your employees would say that you were good with people?
Yes, I do, actually. There's a big misconception in terms of what you think I was like running the team.
I asked you a
versus what the
question.
people I
I
work
didn't.
for
I
think.
didn't come. I just asked you a question, asking you about what your self-awareness was or wasn't there when you say it's an important thing to deal with people. Because you're also the one last week who told us that you were laughing when you had fired one manager and another manager was passing. The new manager was passing him in the hallway, and I would say that the original fired manager might say that if you were laughing at that, you're not great with people.
Oh, I don't think those are mutually exclusive at all. I think you can be good with people and just be honest. And Joe Girardi, you're talking about Joe Girardi, he knew exactly where I stood. It did not come as a surprise when he got fired. Say what you will. He knew very well that he was being let go because he knows the way he acted from minute one that he was hired. So I think that people just want to know where they stand. When you manage people, like even at Metalark, they just want to know what's happening. What's my bonus going to be? What's my airtime going to be? What are we doing? As long as you're honest, you can laugh.
David, were you surprised at all that Craig Counsell chose the Cubs over the Mets?
I can't believe the Cubs gave him $8 million a year. That is the Deshaun Watson of managerial contracts. No manager will get to that number because the owners will make sure that no manager gets to that number. And Craig Counsell said that he did it for everybody else. I love that. That's so nice of him. I did it to raise the level of all managerial numbers and make sure that they get paid the way GMs got paid.
Took one for the team,
ridiculous.
Huh?
He underestimated what Milwaukee can be very mean to you if you cross them.
Yeah.
And he crossed all of Milwaukee. He's done there. He's dead to them, which is unreal because he was their hero. And he could have gone anywhere and he would have been fine. But he chose the one team that he could have even gone to the White Sox. You can't go to the Cubs.
So just to be clear, you're saying he's dead to Kenosha, and therefore he shouldn't have
Can't go
taken
back, huh?
the $8 million a year because he is now dead to Kenosha, Wisconsin.
I'm all in. By the way, don't yuck on Kenosha, Wisconsin if you've never been there. Kenosha's awesome.
No, it's not.
Give me a little Racine. Give me a little Wauwatosa. I'm in. But
Give
yes,
me some sun. I mean, how about that?
We have on our screen, we have the world's laziest graffiti artist over the Craig Counsell Little League field in Whitefish Bay. Somebody has just written the word ass over the name of Craig Counsell. The maximum worth of a major league manager, according to David Sampson's top salary.
a decent fourth outfielder.
Give me a number.
$3 million at the height. But you can really bring in managers at $1 million, $1.5 million, and you're going to be just fine.
You thought he was going to end up with the Mets. You said he was going to end up with the Mets.
I cannot believe that Steve Cohen did not match that, and that is what everyone is saying, that he was unwilling to go to $8 million a year to get Craig Counsell. I can't believe the Mets pivoted to Mendoza, the Yankees bench coach. That is a very risky hire by David Stearns. It sort of reminds me of the A.J. Preller San Diego hires where they kept hiring first-time guys, and it just doesn't work with a payroll like that. And so I'm just shocked by all of it. Craig Counsell and David Stearns worked very well together in Milwaukee, but it turns out, and this is where it got strange for me, he didn't ever want to leave that area. He has kids in high school. And the irony is now those kids, my kids got crushed for the Cliff Floyd trade. When we traded Cliff Floyd, my little kids got made fun of at school, which was not nice. And they were young. Now he's got kids in high school, and he's not the most popular guy anymore. So I think the point of what he was doing is now lost, though they are rich.
If the Mets are rebuilding the way that Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander led us to believe they were told, is hiring a first-year manager the worst thing? Because are you going to get an established manager who's not going to really want to be part of all that losing?
Billy, if the Mets are rebuilding, then I will be absolutely shocked. Does it count at rebuilding if you have a $200 million payroll?
It's inefficient spending. It can't be rebuilding. That's not allowed to be rebuilding.
I agree. If you're going to rebuild, give me $15 million as a payroll. 2006, that's a rebuild. I don't think a $200 million payroll or top five payroll is rebuilding. I don't give him that excuse or that leeway.
Let's play for David Sampson the sound of longtime general manager of the Yankees, Brian Cashman. I believe he's got to be, if not the longest tenured GM. He must be, right? Because he's been in that job forever, and he didn't like some of the questions. Old New York media, Joel Sherman is somewhere in this scrum asking the difficult questions. Old New York media is peppering Cashman here. Listen to this back and forth.
Which are largely out of your control. But is there anything that needs to change and will change on the process side?
Oh, we're always looking to improve on process. So last year, everybody thought that, well, first and foremost on the I want to make sure, and I think it's been put out there. So people talk about we're analytically driven, right? Do you know we're the least large? We have the smallest analytics department in the American League East. Is that a shocker to you guys? We have the largest pro scouting department in all of baseball. Is that a shocker to you, to everybody? Shouldn't be, but no one's doing their deep dives. They're just throwing ammunition and bullshit and accusing us of being run analytically. Analytics is an important spoke in our wheel, but it should be in everybody's wheel, and it really is an important spoke in every operation that's having success. There's not one team that's not using it. We're no different. But to be said we're guided by analytics as a driver, it's a lie. But that's what people want to say. I know I can't change that narrative. All I can continue to do is say bullshit, not true. But I will, guarantee it's important, and we utilize it along with our pro scouting opinions, along with our amateur scouting opinions. And yes, sometimes we do better and sometimes we do worse with some of our decisions. Sometimes they don't work out, but that's also part of the process. And we've had obviously our fair share in the more recent 2 seasons that haven't worked out. Some of it because of injuries, but.
I'm not sure that's the best sound from that back and forth with Cashman. We'll see if we can find better sound. But that as a rejection is funny because how can you not enjoy, David? How can you not enjoy the leader of the Yankees, a man actually named Cashman, for that person to say, I'm upset that you would say I'm guided by information. We are not guided by information. Data and analytics is not something that guides us. We prefer a lack of information.
My guy.
We led Nothing Personal with that just this morning. And our word of the day was describing what he sounded like. What is the word that comes to mind listening to that soundbite of Brian Cashman at the GM meetings?
Defensive to me.
Very defensive. We used the word today, indignant. There is something going on there because Hal Steinbrenner did an entire interview talking about he and Judge decided what they were doing and whether or not Aaron Boone was staying, and Nick Swisher and Andy Pettit. The Yankees are an absolute mess. Happy birthday, Giancarlo, by the way. He turns 34 today, if you can believe that. But the Yankees are a total mess.
Hold on.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's so hard to see when you're pressing those great buttons you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so the Yankees are in trouble. If you're a Yankee fan, you ought to be concerned. Cashman looks like he's done. And he is being defensive, indignant, and making excuses. And at that kind of payroll, the fact that they have not done more winning, they do have a problem. And he said something that you didn't have in your sound, which is the best part, when he was giving examples of players who didn't make it in New York, the Carl Pavanos of the world, Joey Gallo, Sonny Gray, etc. And he was pointing out how good those players were elsewhere as an example of, hey, they just couldn't play New York. And I think that is absolute horse hockey.
Billy yesterday was lamenting. He was longing for a time, and I don't know what year this would have been, but he was lamenting that the Gold Glove Awards were given out quietly, that no longer is it a big deal when somebody wins a defensive award in baseball. I'd make the argument that the award in general has been cheapened all across celebration.
I just don't understand why they're doing it on a Sunday night during football season. Like, why can't we wait until Tuesday to do it when there's not? I don't think there was even any NBA games yesterday. Like, Tuesday would have been a perfect day to give out those awards.
It's election day. That's why there were no NBA games yesterday. Adam Silver wanted everyone to vote.
Football is much bigger than election day. Come
Where
on,
was Maction?
The Maction does not respect the election process.
I think it's great that he brings attention to Election Day. I thought actually the Gold Gloves were being given out at a dinner Friday night in New York. I thought they did it live as a whole megillah. It turns out that that's just a dinner celebrating who already won because they don't, I guess, want to bring in all the finalists. They just want to bring in the winners. But I think you can make a bigger deal of it because it's really cool. Have you ever seen a Gold Glove in person? They actually give you a Gold Glove, and then you can use in the field the next year. Your Rawlings insignia is gold, which is pretty cool as well.
Actual gold, like 18 karat gold, 24 karat gold, actual gold?
I'm gonna say it's gold plated with the worth of my 2003 $2 bill. No, it is not actual gold. Stugotz. I can picture him going to the clubhouse now and stealing everybody's gloves and melting them for parts.
Giving me ideas, David. Did you ever care about the Golden Glove Award, Dan? Like back in the 80s, the Gold Glove Award, I never cared about it. Even when Ozzie was winning it every year, who cares who the best fielder is at every position? Honestly. Like,
it's $50,000.
So what?
So players had bonuses. So I hated the Gold Glove because they got $50,000 bonus, Gold Glove bonus, and then they could use it in arbitration as a special accomplishment. And so what the union does is they come up with all these new accomplishments. You know, Offensive Player of the Year in the American League or whatever they do, and then they can use that. So as presidents and GMs, we would get together and try to have fewer awards, not more.
Stugotz turned the Gold Glove into a delicious buffet.
I did.
Golden Corral. Yeah, golden. Put it on the poll.
The Golden Glove.
Take it with your stomach.
At Le Batard Show, Golden Corral, yes or no? Just yes or no on Golden Corral. Steve Cohen, you mentioned him. What is he thinking about spending $8 billion on?
Oh, I don't think he's going to write a check for $8 billion, but for all the Mets fans out there, you can now go to Citi Field and you can. I think the Guitar Hotel from Florida, they're doing a Hard Rock hotel and casino. They're building all of this development where the chop shops currently are. And for $8 billion, this big announcement was made with green space, and you can gamble and eat before and after games and outdoor activities and music venues. And he forgot to mention one thing in the announcement. Who's funding it and whether or not it's been approved. And here's a little bit of news for you. They have no funding plan and they have zero approvals. There is a decent chance that 28.6% of your audience will be dead before that $8 billion park opens at Citi Field.
We are headed there, though, right? Correct? Where all of these economies around these fields are surrounded by gambling money amusement parks.
Take a look at where you are. Yes. Are you wondering whether or not gambling companies are running the world? I think it's fairly obvious where the revenue is, and that's because give the people what they want. And what you're seeing, Hard Rock, what they're doing, they just started in Florida. There's now betting on your phone in Florida through the Seminoles, and that this is not hundreds of millions of dollars. This is billions of dollars.
What's the movie you're reviewing for us today?
I watched a documentary called The Lost Weekend the other day, a love story. Did anyone watch that about John Lennon and his personal assistant?
No.
Do you know the story?
No.
This is going to fall flat then. If you're, I'm not a huge Beatles fan. I always thought John Lennon was just about Yoko Ono. I didn't realize that Yoko Ono, during a troubled time in their marriage, said to the assistant of John Lennon and Yoko Ono, do me a favor and have sex with John Lennon so I can control who he's cheating on me with. And it turns out that's all fine and dandy until they fell in love. And so John Lennon and his assistant fell in love when they were only supposed to be falling in sex. And then Yoko turned around and said, okay, that's enough. Stop. And she said, oh, no, I don't want to stop. I'm in love. And he said, all right, I guess I have to stop because you're my wife, but I really don't want to stop. And there's this amazing footage that is unseen, and there's been a lot of unseen Beatles footage recently. And the timing, of course, is a new release by the Beatles and everything they're trying to do to continue to monetize it. But it was fascinating. You don't have to be a Beatles fan to enjoy that documentary.
we just had come out, right? Their last song, allegedly, something that Yoko found around the house or something, where the Beatles have now.
Not the last song.
Well, okay, but
It's not the last song.
Oh, but that's being billed as
Always more songs.
It's being billed as the last song. This one found in Yoko's garage.
Until they want to take another vacation, it's the last song.
Sampson, we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you, sir. David Sampson, nothing personal. I will tell you again, at 8 o'clock every morning, he goes through the terrain. If you want to get caught up quickly on a lot of different sports subject matter, nothing personal, 8 a.m. every morning. They have found for me, Stugotz, the more contentious Cashman clip. Chris Cody, how do you feel about this? We're going to play it next, but how do you feel about the Cashman clip?
I feel good, and I think it's Joel Sherman that he's going back and forth with.
Is it the right one this time?
Yes.
Okay. I think that we erred yesterday in just sort of taking for granted that LeBron, at 21 years in, oldest player in the league, is presently doing what would be the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rocking chair tour if we thought this was actually LeBron's last year, if we thought that this was in any way goodbye.
I'm not certain we're close.
I'm not sure how close we are either, but one of the things that happened in that Lakers game, and I wanted to talk to you about this because the last 5 minutes of that game were awful. The Heat have the worst defense, the worst net rating in the fourth quarter of any team in the league. It's like below San Antonio and Washington. They're just terrible.
No one scored in the final 3 minutes of that game.
Right, and there were a lot of open shots, and the Heat could have very easily lost on an open shot. LeBron passed the ball to, an open shooter, as he does at the end of games, and it was missed. But a lot of people after that game, because of the foul calls, because of the lack of foul calls, because LeBron is a complainer, and everyone knows that he's a complainer, a lot of people were talking about the last 2 minutes of that game, the officiating. The league office puts out there were no mistakes made with officiating in the last 2 minutes. And the part that I wanted to ask you guys about, because I believe most people are very, very good only at demanding accountability of others. LeBron failed at the end of that game. He's going to believe that there are reasons for that failure that aren't him. And my question to you is, while we like accountability all the time in sports, do you believe that we have an environment here of accountability, or do you believe that you have many friends that you believe to be accountable? I don't think it's human nature to be accountable. I think human nature is to try and cover your tracks and cover up that you've gotten something wrong.
Damn right.
If any of us were failing at work, we'd like explanations that weren't, hey, I'm shitty at work. We want things that undermined us, things that derailed us. If we lost at the end of a basketball game and we thought we were fouled, I'm not sure how many people are just going to shut up about that. And so I'm just asking you, as accountability, when you think of accountability, is it something that you think we have in our daily lives around here? Because I don't feel like it's in my daily life and the people that I encounter. I'm not just talking about here. I'm just talking about anywhere. I think most people get defensive. I think most people want to explain away their failures, and the reason that they failed isn't them. Like, how often do you just raise your hand and say, I'm shitty? Like, how much trouble do we have around here with just, I'm sorry?
I feel like I say I'm sorry a lot. Like if I bump into someone out in the street, like even if it wasn't my fault, my just natural thing is to be like sorry.
Right.
I feel
That's
like
different though. I mean,
You thrive in the Midwest. I go with the sorry. Let me squeeze right past you.
I think most people say I'm sorry if they bumped into someone,
Not Miami.
unless you're a testosterone-filled meathead at a bar and you've run into another testosterone-filled meathead at a bar.
then you just fight.
Now, yes, of course. Then you start arguing. The bouncers have to drag you out,
Right.
and you posture, and you're male, and you're an idiot.
But there's a big difference between just I'm sorry for something and I'm shitty at what I do. So that I agree. No one wants to say that.
Dan, you went Emmanuel Acho on me. I just want to call him a loser. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't win the argument and lose the person. What are you talking about, dude? Like, hey, can we talk about his tweet? Come on.
Which one? The one that he'd be the same player if he hadn't been in Miami, except for perhaps a few championships?
Yeah, that's the one. The one that made me laugh, like the second sentence into it, where LeBron was like, he at first said glowing things, and we responded in kind yesterday, but then more stuff trickled out about what he said to the media. And here's a tweet. Because Legion Hoops posted, aggregated an Anthony Chang quote. LeBron says he'd still be as dominant if he never went to the Miami Heat. And LeBron says, you're damn right. I would still be. I'm chosen. That's in all caps. Ain't nothing changing that. Maybe less rings, but dominant from start to finish. Well, dominance is also rings in that sport.
That's him actually giving the Heat credit there.
Yeah, but he's saying maybe less rings, right? I mean,
well,
he's acknowledging that.
I get what he's saying there. It's a bad
I do.
look.
I actually
because he has been dominant his entire career, putting up crazy numbers. But it's just a bad look. Like I get what he's saying.
He capitalized chosen and dominant. I'm not giving him humility points for maybe giving the Heat credit here. Like the Heat are a part of his legacy, and the Heat built culture. They have that in the paint in part because they have 2 titles because of LeBron's contributions. They also have 1 less title because of LeBron's lack of contribution.
JJ Barea?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron gets to do the legacy talk, and I understand. He's.
But they wouldn't have been in that final without LeBron.
Exactly.
You can't say LeBron cost them that.
Mike, hold on a second.
See, that's where you lose me. All right,
No.
so let's play out the summer again. LeBron goes to another team, or he stays with Cleveland. Where does LeBron go? Maybe New York, maybe Chicago. Fine. You have prime D-Wade.
Well, you don't know that for sure.
You do know that because Bosh and D-Wade already signed up for the Miami Heat. You don't want to believe their quotes? Fine. Chris Bosh told us directly he was coming here anyway. And Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, while they had an inkling that LeBron would come here, weren't sure when he did that. So you have prime Chris Bosh and prime D-Wade. Dwayne Wade was the best. And I'm sorry, Kobe stands. He was the best shooting guard in the league at the time. He was the best player on that Olympic team. You mean to tell me if LeBron James goes away to another team, the Celtics aren't there to stop him? The Miami Heat aren't there to stop him? Because Dwayne Wade was the best player in that NBA Finals that they lost. Dwayne Wade's legacy took a hit because LeBron couldn't come through in that Finals. So, yes, I agree.
Wait a
You're
minute.
probably... What? Am I wrong?
Wade's legacy took a hit because of LeBron?
Yes, because he would have had a second title and a second Finals MVP. He would have been the best player on the court in the 2010 Finals.
He got 2 more rings because of LeBron.
I understand, but he got one fewer Finals MVP. That totally changes the map.
But, Mike, he was dominant before he got to Miami. He was dominant after he left Miami. And what he said is fine. He's saying, I still would have been the chosen one. I still would have been dominant, perhaps slightly less rings.
I think LeBron's issue...
It's incredibly honest.
I don't know LeBron. I'm not speaking for him. I think that his issue is he feels like people think that he only succeeded because of the Heat and his time down here. And what he's saying is, I was dominant before the Heat. I was dominant after the Heat. I would have been dominant those years, whatever team I was on, which is true.
We got to keep our eye on the ball here. We're supposed to be laughing at LeBron right now for these tweets, and we're just getting bogged down in this Heat argument that we've had for 10 years.
Tweets.
He is. I understand what Billy is saying, and I appreciate the clarification. But when talking about LeBron's Heat legacy and all the rings that he won, I'd say that we should take a look at Dwayne Wade's legacy that was impacted. Yes, Dwayne Wade had great moments, and when his knees were a little bit more shot, and LeBron finally found the confidence in the finals, he got an extra ring. But Dwayne Wade,
he could have had 1 ring for his career without LeBron.
I don't think so. I just don't think so. Like, it ignores the fact that you have prime Dwayne Wade, who's a better player if LeBron's not on the roster in terms of counting stats. We all know that. And Chris Bosh was a fantastic player. I think, and you also have another max slot that you can surround them with another complementary piece. I think to say that Miami was made by LeBron kind of ignores the fact that Miami would have been really freaking good if LeBron wasn't there and that max spot went to someone else.
Gilbert Arenas disagrees with you. He says, not unlike people are now saying, the Patriot way was just Tom Brady. That's what the Patriot way was. It was having Tom Brady. If the Patriots lose this weekend.
Ball security, Dan.
If they lose this weekend.
Give me the Duke.
Yeah, I've given you hard glances while you were playing with that the entire time, knowing that you were going to fumble.
Should have just kneeled it down, Dan.
I haven't fumbled. The Patriots, if they lose this weekend, will have lost for the 33rd time since Tom Brady left. And in the 10 years before that, when Tom Brady was there, they lost a total of 35 times. So he was the Patriot way. And Gilbert Arenas is pointing out of LeBron, he's saying, well, he took Heat culture with him. Gilbert Arenas is saying that LeBron was Heat culture.
But that's asinine.
Now you've gone too far.
I'm just telling you.
Okay, why are we giving so much credence to Gilbert Arenas?
I'm just pointing out to you that what you're saying.
Man yells at cloud.
I think the great many people listening to this would say that Dwayne Wade's legacy was in no way hurt by LeBron. It was only helped by LeBron. Because
I don't doubt that.
Because Dwayne Wade said after going out in the first round of the playoffs to the Celtics, that will never happen to me again. And then he made sure of it by going and teaming up with LeBron James.
Who then betrayed him and cost him a title, that asshole.
I don't doubt that most people listening to this think that I'm crazy for saying that. And they just think, well, they won 2 titles because LeBron went there. But you're ignoring what those players were in that time, what the Eastern Conference landscape would look like if LeBron simply went elsewhere, and you're foolish if you don't think that the Miami Heat would have been in that title conversation the entire time, considering LeBron left, and they've been to 2 finals since he left.
It's not
And lost one to LeBron.
It's not the greatest thing.
He's won 2 championships since he left.
Yeah, but one in a bubble. I mean,
I'm with Chris Cody. This argument is something we've been having in some form for 10 years, and I'd like to skip past it. But another thing that we're ignoring from that tweet that he has somehow made us numb to is an athlete just saying and us accepting it. Yes, I'm chosen. That's right. Chosen.
We don't have beef with that.
Chosen by God. That's right. Chosen. I've been chosen by God.
Well, that's true also.
To be a holier and better person than you are. We all agree.
If you want to criticize anything LeBron does on social media, criticize him ranking tight ends where he's clearly reading off a screen.
Oh my God, what were his rankings?
Yeah, whatever Google came
result,
up, yeah.
There was a
NFL
great
rankings.
video of like a top 10 tight ends chart and him just reading it in order. We got my guy Darren
No,
Waller.
but he
went
could
to
tell,
ranker?
You could tell when it was loading though because he's looking at his phone recording
like a Bleacher Report
and then he
article.
looks off to the side and he's like,
there's so
"Oh,
many to
man."
name.
No, because he starts out, he's like, oh, we got Travis Kelce and we got George Kittle and we got, there's so many, and then there's like a pause.
My
and then
man
he's
D.
like-
Waller.
He looks over, he throws in one of those like. And then he's like, oh, like he sings like Hawkinson, like if he was thinking about it and forgot it. And it's clearly he's just scrolling on
Reading it
another
in
screen.
order.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
love LeBron.
things is
It's the best.
when he
He's
takes
so good at
pictures.
content.
He takes pictures with books, and he's always reading page 1. But here is another tweet because of the 2-minute report from LeBron. The game isn't won or lost in the last 2 minutes. If you know the game,
Ugh.
oh boy.
if you know the game, things happen throughout the first, second, third, and first 10 minutes of the fourth that have major impact
Major
on
caps.
outcomes.
All caps, major.
I don't think you need to know the game to know that.
Was he watching the Iowa-Minnesota game too?
I think you can be a total toddler and learn that before even reaching at the places where there are books and they teach you things. You need not know the game. I'm going to get to this contentious Brian Cashman sound in a second, but I'd like to ask the audience and everyone here, can a man who has been dubbed eyebrows be the sexiest man alive? Can Jason Kelce?
No.
Can Jason Kelce?
No.
Be People Magazine's sexiest man alive when Phillips from the Dolphins has called him eyebrows because he's got really bushy, unkempt dad eyebrows?
Can you start over from the very, very beginning with what you were asking?
Not the Cashman question, but you want me to just start with Kelce.
Yes.
Can someone who has been dubbed eyebrows
Start over.
No.
You said, can a man?
Yeah.
No.
can
$5.
can a man
No.
Jason Kelce being sexiest man alive, that's just capitalizing on Kelce's stuff, is it not? That's
Yes.
just People Magazine wanting to be near anything Taylor Swift
No,
related.
People Magazine woke up and saw Jason Kelce and said, that's the sexiest man alive.
I said this a few weeks ago. I don't like this whole Jason Kelce thing. And let me preface, this has nothing to do with Jason Kelce. I don't like what the social media is doing. This condescending, he's the one I like. He's my Kelce. You see this a lot on social media the last few months of just, that's the one I like. Oh, my you see a picture of him and people are like the hard eyes. Like I just feel like they're tired of the Travis thing, so it's just they're going to Jason even though they don't believe what they're saying.
It's pity lust.
He's the indie pick. He's like the second Kelce. He's like, oh no, we don't like the pretty popular Kelce. We are like the cool hipster Kelce.
He's also more relatable, so there's probably something attractive to see him being a good dad, a good husband. There's probably something attractive.
And he's really good on the podcast. He's
Yes.
got I think he's better at podcasting than Travis. So I just don't buy it from the internet. And I feel bad for him almost because I feel like people are just being insincere.
You think that they're finding him attractive because it's a cloak of pity and
Not
condescension.
pity, but it's just trendy. Like, oh, Travis is here. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to zag when everyone's zigging.
He's a good-looking guy.
It's a very different look. They're very different look. Travis Kelce looks like somebody who would be sort of boy band dancer, handsome, and Jason Kelce is more lumberjack, really hairy torso. Handsome.
He's not sexy.
There is a segment of the internet that really
he's
loves
fat.
lumberjacks.
I think he's good looking.
He's a
What
center.
are we doing here?
He's a center. Wait till he gets into the off-season program after he retires.
Jeff Saturday
That guy's
treatment.
going to be the sexier Kelce.
No, if he was a forklift driver, you guys would not pay any attention to him. In fact, you'd probably call him creepy.
Yep.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Billy's right.
Put it on the poll. If Jason Kelce were a forklift driver, would you call him?
My first word was
creepy?
backhoe.
I would say that Travis is prettier than Jason.
I'm telling you, wait till he gets on that Jeff Saturday program.
Prettier, huh?
Beards are in, too.
He's going to get a makeover, and he's going to be the sexy Kelce.
Be careful on that limb. I mean,
Travis, it looks like somebody who shaves his body hair where Jason tries to grow more of it.
People like body hair, Dan.
It's just more effort. It's just more effort that comes in line with his job. Once he retires, I'm telling you, svelte, he's going to get a designer sponsorship, and he will be known as a sexier Kelce.
Is there any particular reason that you are this aggressive with your take that you're going to be right that Jason Kelce's going to lose weight and we're all going to faint with desire because of how masculine and wonderful
I don't
he
like
is?
what's happening because you're calling him not sexy and he's just doing his
I did
job
not
really
call
well.
him not
no,
sexy.
Stugotz is. He's saying that he's not sexy.
Well,
I'm
he's
saying
not. I mean-
in every person listening to this, there is a sexy you.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. In every person listening to this, is there a sexy you?
You don't have to be super attractive to be sexy.
That's true. Sexy is its own category. And I will
Right.
say people has not necessarily always found the sexiest man.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some sexiest men alive that I would not even put remotely near the sexy boat.
Blake
so,
Shelton.
Thank you, Lucy. I didn't want to say it.
Right.
So this isn't really that far off for them, but I do think he's a good-looking man, and I do think that some people find him very sexy.
I think it's also important to note it's okay to be ugly. There's ugly people out there, and like don't feel like you have to be attractive.
Still be attractive.
Yeah,
right.
you could still be ugly.
Right.
It's fine. Just
you can be
happy
ugly and
that you-
attractive. Yeah.
Exactly right.
See, to me, this has nothing to do with what he actually looks like.
can,
It has
Dan.
to do with just the internet grabbing a hold of something and wanting to just be trendy.
If
I
you're-
hate it.
if
Some
by-
people like someone that can make them laugh.
If
And
by
that's fine.
definition you're ugly,
Very sexy.
you're then not physically attractive.
Well, that's
Well,
your
I mean,
definition.
On the inside, though, I mean,
No, have you
you're
ever
funny,
listened to
you're a
Christina
good
Aguilera?
dad, you're a good husband.
Beauty
you
isn't
know,
skin deep, Dan.
friend.
There's a lot of hot people that are actually really ugly.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
Thank
I mean,
you.
Yeah.
Greg's right.
Then what is the definition of ugly? If
Scott
you're not,
Disick.
If you're not granting me that ugly,
Lord
There's
Disick.
good-looking people who are ugly, Dan. I mean,
that's not. No.
Yes.
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 Yes. Absolutely.
100%.
You're either good looking or you're ugly. That's a choice
I thought
between
you were
the
a
two.
writer.
You
What
can't
is
be
this
both.
binary
You can't
everything?
be. You can't be both of those things. Those things are not. Those are not by degrees. If you're calling someone ugly, you're saying they're not attractive. That's what you're saying.
Look, I'll give you an example. Adam Driver. Sexy.
But not if he were a forklift driver.
Also very ugly,
See?
but very sexy.
What about
But
Pete
he's sexy.
Davidson?
So has that something about him? We can't deny
He
that.
has BDE. We've been over this.
See, but Jason Kelsey doesn't have this stuff. And I'm not saying he's ugly. I think he's just a normal guy.
makes
This is
you
just
laugh.
the internet just doing a thing. I hate the internet for this. This is the internet's fault.
Chris, you're a lovable guy. I'm sure
I'm
people
not-
are attracted to you, but
I'm
you make
not
them laugh.
criticizing Jason Kelsey. Like, Billy and Stugotz are in that lane. I'm not taking
What
the
lane?
lane.
What
of-
lane?
of calling him
the
ugly.
creepy
Who
and
said
ugly
that?
lane is
I
the one
didn't
that
say
you
he
two
said it. No,
occupy.
I never
Nope.
said he was creepy
Nope.
looking.
You said if he was a forklift driver.
Well, he's not.
Okay, but if he were, if I
Anything.
So?
I mean,
no, you said he was creepy.
I do think Chris is right in that there is an element of a popularity thing going on here where everyone, including there was this whole story this week about Gannett hiring a Taylor Swift reporter. Everyone's just drafting off Taylor Swift's popularity right now and trying to get, if you can get like a little pinky, a little sliver of the Taylor Swift stan crowd to buy your magazine or to care about your thing, you're going to be doing really well this year because that's like she's taken over the world.
We wouldn't be talking about it if they put Connor Williams on there. Okay, that's the Dolphin Center for everyone that doesn't know that. I'm just
Thank
saying,
you.
like this is them just trying to get the
I
Taylor
think we
Swift
would
thing.
be talking about it if they put
We
it
would.
It would be. Also, it's always been this transparent, but there hasn't been quite the gulf. Patrick Dempsey has not been a pop culture staple for a good decade. But because he has a movie coming out in 2 weeks, he's the sexiest man alive. And he's also very handsome. I'm not taking that away from him. He's nicknamed McDreamy. But he was nicknamed McDreamy 10 years ago. And it's just because a movie's coming out. I don't like this.
People needs to tell us how they decide this.
Exactly.
Because I think there should be a popular vote.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they chose Blake Shelton years ago,
Love this.
they lost me.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't trust this. I don't want to throw out election fraud, but with people's sexiest man alive, I think so.
This is
Think
like
so.
this is like the college football committee. Is it body of work? Is it strength of schedule?
Yeah, a two-loss
Eye
Notre
test.
Dame. Maybe Sam Hartman makes it.
How about some regular Joes? Why is it always a celebrity?
But that is.
How about we actually
That's what
go
they're
and
going
find
for.
the sexiest
well,
man alive?
Kelsey is the regular
they're
Joe.
going for.
the
Nah,
he's
millionaire
not-
regular
yeah,
Joe?
exactly right.
Whose brother is dating Taylor Swift. Just like any average Joe.
Number one podcast in America.
Just a regular guy.
The regular Jason is appealing on the sexiness front to he's an everyman. He is someone who's just like us.
So Lucy's alleging voting machines from Venezuela. Is that right?
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to throw those rumors out, but absolutely.
Sexy.
Be very careful. They're litigious.
I believe right now that people are defining
satire.
sexy. Maybe not People Magazine, but people are defining sexy as, is that person authentic? Is that person comfortable in his or her own skin? Is that person just themselves without a veneer or a layer of the coating and the makeup that celebrities wear as camouflage?
I'm just going to say it. I would not have sex with Jason Kelsey. Would you, Dan?
I would.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm sure you'll make me laugh. And
Giggle.
some people just want that.
Giggle in bed.
Warm embrace, someone that's caring, someone that'll look in your eyes when you talk to them, and someone that'll make you chuckle. Like
Well,
that-
but no, I'm-
that's a dream.
For me, it was the strength of his hands.
How do we get Golick Sr. on the cover next year?
Oh, wow. He looks great.
I tried to get him to take off his shirt Friday, but that's not going to happen.
Okay, well, that's a good tease.
You did that in the future?
Let's play Brian Cashman's sound here for the audience so that we can have some good old-fashioned contention.
Maybe you're making a point on behalf of
other young
others.
players come up and succeed in the major leagues. Am I missing the young players who are coming up who
With
are
the Yankees.
offensively succeeding in the major leagues?
So you're saying that we can't produce major.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm asking. You described it as indisputable. I'm asking you where, ultimately.
But the example you want to say right now is Volpe, I guess, and Cabrera. Those are the two, right? Peraza.
Like if they were performing, they would have kept getting more at bats. They didn't perform, and they didn't.
But Peraza's not getting everyday reps. He's got Glaber, he's got Volpe now, he's got LeMahieu. Prior to that was Donaldson. There was not a lane for him to even play. So I don't even know why you used Peraza.
Well, these are your young players.
I understand that, but he's got to have a spot to play for you to be able to use his name.
If he would have hit, he would have played more. He didn't hit, so he didn't play more, right?
Well, where's he going to play?
Well, if he hit, he would have played.
Who would he, if he hit? Like, this is Abbott Costello. If he hit, who's he taking out? LeMahieu at third? Is he taking out Volpe at short? Is he taking out Glaber Torres, who was one of the best second basemen in the American League last year?
If you want to win, you're going to play the guys who are hitting. If he hit, he would have played, right?
I guess if he hit better than Volpe, he would have played shortstop, and he would have won the thing out of spring training. But Volpe won it out of spring training. I think it's a stupid discussion that we're having, personally. I think our player development system, all that matters from my end to you is I think our player development system does a great job. You're questioning whether it does. That's your job to do. Proof will be in the pudding. Let's see how. So if Volpe comes up crushing it this year, are you going to be like, hey, I guess their development system does produce hitters?
I reviewed the movies in front of me. The movies this year weren't good.
Okay,
if
so
the
then
movies are good next year, we'll have a different discussion.
All right, and then I can hear you say, you know what? Remember last year? I look forward to that. Yep. I look forward to you telling me that when Volpe crushes it offensively this year for us, that you'll say, hey man, I guess your development program did a good job. And it was just sea legs under him his first maiden voyage year with not much AAA under his belt.
I
feel it's pretty basic.
Mike Ryan just shouted nerds in my ear.
I don't know who he's talking about. Not a one.
But Sherman still cares. I mean, he does.
He mentioned 7 names. I'm like, who are these?
You don't know Glaber Torres?
No.
What?
He stopped paying attention to baseball 10 years ago altogether. But I do long for the day, and I know I'm alone on an island here, for the general manager's meetings.